it's disturbing to the sages as much as it's disturbing to us. And the Talmud is looking for ways in which this rewarded act of Pinchas, may have not be deserving of reward. Go to our website, which is HebrewLearningCircles.org. Go to Jewish Resources, scroll down to Parsha Videos, and you'll find the source sheet right there. For those of us who are peace-seeking and humanity-loving and aspire to the highest values of Torah, of peace and cooperation and loving relations between all people, this is a challenging parsha because it deals with a quite brutal execution, and so I'm reluctant to address it. It brings up a lot of questions and a lot of difficult, kind of heart-wrenching issues. It's very multi-layered. As we read the Ishbitzer, we'll see that he himself is reluctant to deal with the parsha. And I want to start with the last few verses of the previous parsha of Chukat Balak. Thus, Israel attached itself to Baal Peor. That's a idol, a foreign god, which they have committed themselves not to worship other gods. And Adonai was incensed with Israel. Now, when the verse says Adonai was incensed, it means that Adonai is that there's some kind of plague, some kind of calamity that is beginning to injure and kill people inside of Israel. And we know that from previous incidents where God's wrath is expressing itself, which looks like at least thousands of people are being decimated by some kind of plague. And verse 4, this is chapter 25 in the book of Numbers, continues, Adonai said to Moses, take all the ringleaders and have them publicly impaled before Adonai, so that Adonai's wrath may turn away from Israel. So God gives Moses the remedy. What you need to do is take the leaders who are supporting. Apparently, this is widespread that the Israeli men were consorting with Midianite women and participating in worship events for their god Baal Peor. And what is happening is that the entire system, this brand new system of a life based on Torah, on higher spiritual aspirations, on modeling a radical, free and spiritually centered society in the desert, is falling apart, is collapsing, because there's a massive transgression or a contradictory behavior amongst the men of Israel because of their attraction to the Midianite women. So Moses said to Israel's officials, each of you slay those of his men who attach themselves to Baal Peor. This is not the first time Moses is doing this. Remember, during the golden calf, Moses says, who is with me? And 3,000 of the tribe of Levi join him, and they basically punish those who were worshiping the golden calf and kill them. As brutal as that is, this has happened before. Moses asks them to do it again. Kill those who are leaders who are supporting this involvement with the Midianite women and the worship of their god Baal Peor. Just then, now this is where the drama escalates, a certain Israelite man, and this man is actually a prince, a dignitary, came and brought a Midianite woman over to his tent in order to consort with her. In the sight of Moses and of the whole Israelite community, who were, now get this, who were weeping at the entrance of the tent of meeting. So this trend, this mob desertion of the Israelite project in favor of getting involved with the Midianite neighbors and following their system, their religion, is so large, is so massive, so dominant, that no one amongst the loyal Israeli leaders have the power to act, and instead they're weeping as they see their project crumbling before them. And at that moment, when Pinhas, the son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, so this is the grandson of Aaron the priest, saw this, he left the assembly, taking a spear in his hand. He followed the Israelite man, the man's name we learn later is Zimri ben Salu, into the chamber, into his tent, and he stabs both of them, the Israelite man, Zimri, and the Midianite woman, through the belly. The translation here is being generous. I mean, it's actually, the Hebrew is hard to, el kavata. It's hard to tell if it's belly, or as the sages translated as through the genitals. Then the plague against the Israelites was checked. The plague stopped. Those who died of the plague numbered 24,000. And this is where last Parsha ends. So the context here that there's a very, very dramatic breakdown and breakdown of the spiritual and social system of the Israelites, as well as a consequence, divine consequence in the way of a huge plague that is just killing people by droves. Then there's the one man who is willing to stand up and take action to follow Moses's command and to actually kill a leader who is supporting and modeling this behavior, and the plague stops. And here's a controversy, the beginning of Parshat Pinchas. This Parsha is named after this man, this priest, Pinchas, the grandson of Aaron. And the verses continue. Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, now, get this. Pinchas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, has turned back my wrath, says God to Moses, from the Israelites by displaying among them his passion or jealousy for me, for God, so that I did not wipe out the Israelite people in my jealousy or in my passion. Lachen emor, hineni noten lo et briti shalom. Say therefore, God says to Moses, I grant him my pact of friendship. Moses, you greet now Pinchas, who's coming back from this act, and let him know that I, God, am giving him a pact of friendship or a pact of shalom. And what that's going to mean is that the priesthood is promised to Pinhas and to his predecessors forever. Ishbitzer asks, what does it mean to alleviate God's wrath, or to be or act jealous for God, as this verse expresses? There's this concept, Heshiv et Chamati, which is not a new concept. We saw this before with Aaron does that, and Moses does that when throughout their wandering in the desert, several times God will be angry at the people of Israel for not being focused, loyal, obedient. And God several times says to Moses and to Aaron, let me annihilate the people of Israel and I'll make a new people starting with you. And Moses and Aaron both stopped that each time and stopped the plagues that are beginning, or the fires that are beginning, or the snakes that are biting them. There were several cases. And what they are doing is Meshiv, Heshiv et Chamati. They are alleviating God's wrath. So first of all, let's as a spiritual principle, let's acknowledge that there is such a thing as divine wrath, as things that happen that are painful, that are punishing, that are considered of a spiritual source, by divine design, and that people, through certain acts of willfulness and courage and an extreme action, can alleviate that. They can stop that. The Ishbitzer's own words, own commentary, and he will anchor his commentary in a Gemara from the Talmud in Sanhedrin 82. And for those of you who are interested, I did copy the entire Gemara in the source sheet. And he says the following: Amrinan bikshu malachei hasharet l'dachafo. The Talmud says after Pinhas did what he did, the angels in heaven, they wanted to punish him. Amar lahem Hashem yitbarach, said to them, the Holy One, blessed be, hanichu lo, let him be. Kano Kanai ben Kanai, Kano ben Kanai, Meshiv Chema ben Meshiv Chema. This is from the Gemara. God says he is a jealous one, son of a jealous one, which is which because he's from the tribe of Levi. And what the Gemara here is referring to is that Levi, one of the 12 sons of Jacob, way back early in the Torah, kills the inhabitants of the city of Shechem because their prince, their leader, defiled the honor of their sister Dinah, and they do it quite brutally, Levi and Shimon. Incidentally, Zimri ben Salu, this Israelite prince that will bring for all to see, brings a Midianite into his tent in the midst of the Israelite camp, is a son of Shimon. So you see that there's a karmic working out of something between Levi and Shimon many generations later. But back to the Gemara here, and God says he is a jealous son of a jealous, meaning that he's a member of the tribe of Levi. Meshiv Chama ben Meshiv Chama. He's one who alleviates God's wrath, the son of one who alleviates God's wrath, referring here to Aaron. Actually, he's the grandson of Aaron. So he is the epitome of one who is, he has the genetics, he has the lineage of one who has the wherewithal to alleviate and appease God's wrath when that is present. The reason the ministry angels tried to punish him is because, says the Ishbitzer, Ein adam yachol lekaneh velinkom nikmat Adonai lechavero rak be'im yehu naki b'midah azot. That the reason the angels want to punish Pinhas is because a person cannot avenge God's jealousy with another person unless they are clear of that sin. In other words, the angels claim who is he to avenge God? Is he that clean? Is he not tempted? Is he not a man with temptation, and a man who wants to go party and worship Baal Peor with the Midianite women? And L'zehi Hashem Yitbarach, and that is why God responds, Kano ben Kanai v'chulei. So it's another explanation to why God says he is jealous, the son of a jealous one, because, according to God, he was clear. He was without blemish in that area of sexual and temptation and idol worship temptation. And how do we know that? Because the rabbis claim that Shimon and Levi, when they killed the people of Shechem because of the defilement, because of the rape of Dinah, that they too they could do that because they were clean of that desire to rape. That is the according to the sages. See how the Talmud is poking at this. It's disturbing to the sages as much as it's disturbing to us. And the Talmud is looking for ways in which this rewarded act of Pinchas may have not be deserving of reward. One of the claims is by the sages is he went ahead and killed them without trial. And we know that the Israelites in the desert, they have a sophisticated judicial system, and things are brought to trial. They're creating a society where you cannot just go and take revenge and kill somebody at will because they harmed you. And the sages ask, so well, how could Zimri do that? They're ignoring the fact that Moshe actually commanded the leaders to go, his people, his loyalists, to go and kill the leaders who were following Baal Peor. That's another story, but the sages still ask the question, how can you do that without trial? This is why it says he was a jealous son of the jealous, meaning that it's a code, according to the sages, that he was indeed clean of that desire. Hitchilu hashvatim mevazin oto. Now here it's not the angels, according to the Gemara, it's the other tribes, the other tribesmen. He was of the tribe of Levi, and the people from the other tribes were challenging Pinchas and claiming he did not do that out of pure motives. He did that because he had some beef with Zimri. This was an opportunity for him to settle scores. They're cynical. Who knows why? Who knows if they had any basis for it? But there's another challenge to the righteousness of his act. And the Gemara says that is why God is saying to Moses, he is the jealous, being jealous on my behalf amongst them, betocham. So here, it is a strange syntax where the sages are asking, and the Ishmael here is asking, well, why does it say that Pinhas turned back my wrath from the Israelites by displaying among them his jealousy? It's not clear. He just displayed jealousy. It was clear that he avenged this act by killing the man. It doesn't. What is the meaning of saying amongst them? Amongst who? Right? And here the Ishmael is explaining that what that is pointing to, because there's no superfluous language in the Torah. Everything comes to teach us something either directly or indirectly through interpretation. And the Ishmael says this comes to counteract the claim that he was settling personal scores with Zimri, but rather he did that from the purity of his love for Israel. Pirush shekinato haita mechamat godel ahavato leIsrael. He did that from his motivation was his love of Israel, love of the entire the entire project of Israel, his loyalty to what they were doing and what they stood for, and the value system and the social system and the worship system and the restrictions, obligations, as well as privileges, etc. He stood for that, and he loved that, and he had a love for Israel, and that is hinted v'zemerumaz tevat betocham, and then this is hinted in the word amongst them, betocham. What the Ishmael is not explaining, and I'm going to take a crack at it here, is why. Why does the word betocham hint to the love of Israel? Two thoughts. One thought is that he was willing to step into the lion's den, to go into the neighborhood or the section of the encampment where the tents of the people of Zimri were. And he stepped right amongst them, amongst the transgressors, and stepped into his tent. In other words, he had the courage to put himself at risk, to do this in the midst of the transgressors, perhaps at risk. He did not know that they would be in the middle of intercourse when he walked in. He just walks in because he wants to stop it, and that demonstration of courage is the hint to the strength of his love for Israel. Another thought I'm having is that betocham is actually an intercourse kind of language. So he is doing that out of, he's balancing out, he's counteracting the intercourse between the Midianite and Zimri by the intercourse of his spear into their bodies. And that is his act of love. This is how he is making love, as it were, to Israel, to the project of Israel. So there's something suggestive about amongst them, or the word betocham means inside them. There's something in the nature or in the spirit of intercourse about that. And one could think about this as elevating, and this is obviously very, we were taking this to the abstract, to the philosophical and the semantical. So he's elevating the lower level act of sexual love amongst Zimri and the Midianite woman, and elevating that through the killing to an act of love between himself and the people of Israel, or returning the kind of turning back on the stream of energy, of the energetics of the intercourse between God and the people of Israel, as some kind of elevation from lower love to higher love. With that, the Ishbitzer here concludes. It is difficult at so many levels, at the least, at the level that this whole drama begs the question of, is killing ever justified? Or is a killing at the extreme of dangerous behavior by an individual, by a deviant individual, that puts the collective at danger? Does that justify the brutal killing of the perpetrator? It's a very sensitive ethical question that this brings up. And you can see that even the sages in the Talmud are not comfortable with it. Obviously, there is a suggestion here that there is a place and a time for righteous murder, and we should not be tested. We should really be spared the test of needing to make that decision. This is the decisions that leaders make when they commit military forces to war. When is that justified? Mostly it isn't, I would suggest. When is that the ego of the leader? Well, there's a lot of that's present right now in the world. When is it justified to take violent action against somebody from your own people, amongst your own people? That is an even more difficult choice to make. So with gratitude to the Ishbitzer, and with gratitude to the sages of the Gemara, and with gratitude and with respect for this very difficult story of the Torah, may we be blessed to, for one, as I said, to never be tested, and for two, to really be able to tune in to the true divine messaging and divine will at the times when our decisions are most critical and most difficult to make. With that, we will conclude. Please come back next week. Thank you for studying with us. Shalom for now.
Thank you, everybody. Again, click subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. We really appreciate that. Like to have that extra layer of connection with you. Like and subscribe. Come back.